G'day everybody, how are you going today? It is so good to see you. I do hope that you are super well. Today we're going to talk about the latest news in the camera industry. No rumours today, it's all news. And firstly, we're going to start off with Canon, who've got some pretty serious news, not the best news, about their latest releases. Let's jump into that and a whole lot more. Yes, indeed. Well, Canon have unfortunately had to announce that they are in a position of not being able to fulfill orders for their latest releases, which includes the R3, the new 16mm lens, and the new zoom lens, the 100 to 400. And this is along with a whole lot of other things which were also constrained. Let me just quickly read to you Canon's announcement. We have received more orders than expected for each of the following products, and it will take some time before delivery. We thank you for your many orders and apologise for any inconvenience caused to our customers. Thank you kindly, and we look forward to your understanding. So with some of these things, you'd have to wonder why it is that they would be out of stock, but they include the RF 100 to 500, the RF 100 2.8 macro, the RF 400 2.8, the RF 600 f4, the RF 14 to 35 f4, the EOS R3, the iCup for that as well, the RF 100 to 400 5.6 to f8, the RF 16 2.8, and so on the list goes. There's a rather long list of items that Canon won't be supplying anytime soon. And to again reiterate what they say, it's going to take some time before delivery. Now, we have no idea whether some time is like 3 months or like 9 months, but I would guess it's in excess of 6 months. If you thought it was going to be 3 to 6 months, I think you'd kind of already know, because your pipeline is probably already running and you'd be able to make that statement. I'm not bringing this up to make a statement around the fact that Canon's failing or there's any great disaster going on here. And the reason why is because this is an industry-wide problem. But it's not only an industry-wide problem, this is a global problem. The chip shortage problem, the semiconductor problem. Elon Musk has talked about it in regards to Tesla. Toyota have finally run out of their stockpile of chips that kept them going for another 6 months, and they are now having to slow down their production lines. And as I have mentioned before, I cannot get a Sony PS5, and there is absolutely no sign of them being available at all. I mean, is it a year or two away? The fact that a company as massive as, say, Toyota and as Sony, these are both epically massive companies with awesome resources, the capacity to absolutely move mountains, and they cannot get what they need, and thus they're losing out on revenues, selling PlayStations and games and cars and accessories. This is a big deal, it's a massive problem, and it's affecting everyone. And I do hear a lot in my comments, people complaining about not being able to get hold of Nikon stuff. But I'm just trying to say to you here that it's not just Nikon, it's Sony, it's Canon, it's Toyota, it's Tesla, it's even Apple. Everybody is in this position. Semiconductors are hard to come by. And as we can see here on this list, it's not just cameras, it's lenses. So there is something going on in the world that's stopping not only complicated silicon chip requiring objects, cameras, but also perhaps things that have less complicated chips, like lenses. So as we can see here, Canon have this problem, I'm sure Nikon has this problem, and we can see Sony has this problem. This is industry-wide. We do love a little bit of good news, don't we? Oh, yes we do. There's some good news out there for Sony users. We all know about CFexpress Type B. It's used in Canon cameras, in Nikon cameras, in Panasonic cameras, and the old XQD version of of the card was used in some Sony cameras as well, that original Type B form factor. Sony has now taken on a new form factor in their A1 and their A7S III, which is the CFexpress Type A card, which also manages to squeeze in there an SD slot. It's a super smart idea. I really like it, but the big problem has been with it that the CFexpress Type A media has been only created by Sony, and it was very expensive. Well, good news, because we have a new manufacturer in the game, and that is ProGrade. Yes, so ProGrade are announcing their first card. It's going to be $100 cheaper than the Sony version. ProGrade are going to be giving us a copy of this card. It's going to be 160 gigabytes, so they are still nowhere near as affordable as CFexpress Type B, which, as I said, we find in a lot of Nikon cameras and some Canon cameras and Panasonic cameras. 160 gigabytes is still a whopping $329. But, as happened with CFexpress Type B for us, finally, over time, more manufacturers started to come out with different versions of it, and the prices came down. This is a great sign for Sony users. It will start to begin the bringing down of the immense cost of CFexpress Type A, which is eye-wateringly expensive at the moment. Oh my God! We have another exciting lens from Laowa, the Laowa Argus 35mm 0.95 lens. Now, I'm super excited about this lens, and what's great about it is, besides it being the first of its kind, there has never been a lens like this before, a 35mm 0.95. Now, it is a fully manual lens. That doesn't scare me for my use case in photography. But what's also super exciting about it is that it's for Sony E, Canon RF, and Nikon Z mounts. It's coming for all of them. If you're a Sony, a Nikon, or a Canon user, you can get yourself one of these 35mm 0.95 lenses from Laowa. Very exciting piece of hardware. Now, I've seen a super extensive review of this lens from a German website where it literally went on for pages and pages. The outcomes look superb, and the reviewer said they were very, very excited about this lens. I'm yet to see one myself. I might even consider picking one of these lenses up. I believe the lens is shipping now, and it is US $899. Let's move on next to GoPro. Yes, the GoPro Hero 10. Oh, it's out, and it's offering a new improved chip that's twice as fast. I know a lot of you out there are not interested in these cameras. GoPro managed to get out a new camera every year, and they iterate on it every year. And as you know, I've been experimenting with the GoPro version 8 versus the Insta360R with the 1-inch mod, because I was interested in using it for more light gathering capabilities with that much larger sensor. So I was super excited to see whether GoPro managed to put a larger sensor in there. I don't believe the sensor is any larger, but they have thrown a whole lot more processing power at things to improve on a low light performance, stability, higher frame rates. They seem to put a lot of emphasis into super high frame rates. They can even shoot 5.3K in 60 frames per second. And if you want to go down to some lower things like 1080p, you can go up to 240 frames per second. It is an action cam. I still think it's largely focused for working in bright situations. I think there's been, by the look of it, I will dive into this camera further in future episodes to see whether really it has improved much for my use case, which is having an action camera that I can use in low light. I want to talk very quickly about the 40mm. I was out shooting with it last night, the Nikon 40mm, but quickly before I go there, I was out shooting with the Insta360 and it locked up and it was freezing cold and the light was changing, so I thought I'm not going to stop for 10 minutes and pull it apart and pull the battery out to reset it, because that's the only thing that I think would work, because it wasn't hard resetting with the power button. No time for that. So I was on the scooter, I threw up my iPhone. It wasn't perfect, but I have a feeling, and I haven't had a chance yet to look at it on a larger screen, but the iPhone was doing a pretty good job of capturing images as I was cruising around. So I think there's now an extra camera in the mix here. We've got the iPhone 12 Max Pro, we've got the Insta360, and we've got the GoPro 10. All of them vying for action status, all of them with very different specifications, to be honest. It's an interesting tussle between them. And of course, we have the announcement of the new iPhones, which have even further improved movie making features. Low light always seems to be the problem for small sensors, and I don't know whether there's been any magic that's happened with the iPhone 13. Obviously I don't have one yet, but I do have the 12. Anyway, more in this space to see which is the best action cam. Obviously the iPhone is not as tough and rugged, and you wouldn't put it through some of the hell that people put GoPros and Insta360s through, but again, for my use case, I don't do any of that stuff, so it may well end up being the winner. Who knows? Finally, in the last bit of news, yes, I got the 40mm out last night. Here it is here on the Z6 II. Wow. Wow is all I can say about this lens. I'm actually really surprised about it. I haven't had a chance to look at the files, but just using it, it was absolutely freezing cold. I wasn't out for very long, like 2 hours. But it just worked super well, and the thing that has blown my mind the most about this lens here is its stabilization. I have never seen a more stabilized Z lens. What's going on? And my only conclusion is, so far, and please, engineers, let me know, because it's perhaps the shortest full-frame Z lens that I've used, does that mean that the in-body image stabilization has the most capacity to correct, because there's just less of a travel, there's less leveraging of the beams of light, if you follow what I'm saying. This thing is ridiculously smooth. I am so far very impressed by this lens, both for video and for stills so far with what I've shot in one session. Very good value so far. That's it for this news update. I'd love to know your thoughts on all of those things. Constrained stock, perhaps the 35mm 0.95 lens is for you. Are you going to be excited about the new Pro Grade CFexpress Type A cards and the 40mm? Tell me more. All right. So good to see you. If this is your first time here, I would love to see you again, so please do subscribe. Please share and please like. Don't forget merch. Don't have any on today, but that's okay. Don't have to have it on every day. Jump on the website, buy yourself a print. We send them all over the world. Okay, I'm out of here. Bye.